And
Mabashego Maris.
no.
Zen Manivasam Sigo Maris. Then a double cigarettes.
No. And so what that means is that when we talk about emptiness, we are not saying that, talking about nihilism as such, and nor are we saying that things are not findable when you do critical analysis into them, that, that they are merely unfindable. But what he goes on to say that, and that is itself designated, dependently designated, and therefore this is the middle way. And so what Master Nagarjuna goes through is that on the one hand, things are dependently originated. And because they are dependently originated, they do not have any independent existence, and therefore they exist merely by way of designation. And therefore you do, with these two understandings of dependence on the one hand, and that things are merely designated, you do away with both the extremes of nihilism and eternalism as well. And so when you really understand the import of what Master Nagarjuna actually is saying when he says what is dependent originated is said to be empty, and that itself is dependently designated, and therefore
not a nihilistic view.
No, therefore it is not a nihilistic view, but there is still we hold on to, we actually assert the conventionality of things, and therefore we can really feel admiration for Master Nagarjuna's thorough investigation into the teaching and explanation of the Buddha, and explaining this the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, its import very thoroughly in this way. And so we can actually give him great credit for that. And
so this is okay now.
Yes.
Okay. So now this is the exact meaning of Suk Tongbo, Tongbani Suksu, Tongbani Sulu Tongbani Shami, Tongbani Sushimani Sata.
Yes. And therefore, this is what is meant when in the Heart Sutra it
of
says,
Heart Sutra. Essence is this few sentences.
Yes. It says form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, and form too is not other than emptiness. And so that is the meaning of what Master Nagarjuna meant is shown here.
Sulu Tongbani Shamai, Tongbani Licha Sushin Mainos Luzane, Tongbani Sadi, the Suki Tongbani de, Sukregan sometime. Chazaga, Suk, Chejan Suk de, Suki Tongbani le, motion to Yamaris. Suki Tongbani de, Suk Tene, Drubachi Luzane, Demi Rame Suk Tongbachi. Chizane, Sukregane, Suji Tongbayi, Digani Shemoto. Suk the Mandere, Suji Tongbayi, Sushamdo. Sukora, Danadawa, Yinza, Sumoni Tongbaso. Sumoni Tongba Induzane, Gan the Devati, Terror. Gan the Devat Terror Induzane, Gengiwang Sukju the Terror. Saturday Indu, Tongbanile, Sushamai, Sule, Tongmani, the Shamai said. That they are day Nuzane, Suk Tombo said, Tombani said, Suk was there, Kasurpe, Moni Jubis, Suk Shani, Te turn tamber, Penny, Demotu Don said, Geshana, Suk Tombani Yi Don Chaswa. That Suk Moni Jubis Don Shayin, Suk Ni Tombani Sharada. Just a Nijinalia, any. 가서 남들 고서 니지나 베스트 식 잡으시도 솔로 소베 최디 아니 가서 숙대的가서 최전대的대 동리기 아니 동마리스 숙코라 아니 뭐니 숙코라도 동마리스지 숙 동번이기 동마리스지 숙니 동마리다 세다지 숙 동보 동마리 숙소세지.
And so the meaning of this passage phrase where it says, emptiness is not other than form, and form is also not other than emptiness. What this means... So emptiness is not other than form. Here, what you understand is that... So there is And so the phrase emptiness is not other than form here, it should be understood to mean that the emptiness of form itself is not other than the form, which means that they are they have the same kind of nature or essence. And so therefore what it means is that in order to, first of all, in order to say that things are empty, what you are saying is that trying to establish is emptiness of something. And when you try to establish something is empty, you have to have a basis, a subject onto which you try to establish emptiness. And therefore, without that basis, the subject, you cannot talk about emptiness as such. And therefore here, the emptiness that we are talking about, that is referred, is the emptiness of a form or something physical. And when you establish the emptiness of that physical thing, you need that object. And therefore, the
object or basis.
No, the basis to establish the emptiness on. And therefore, what this shows is that emptiness itself also, and when it says that and form is not other than emptiness, what it also shows is that there is no emptiness apart from something onto which you actually establish the emptiness, and which becomes the basis for the establishment of emptiness. And therefore, what this means, these passage or these phrases mean is that a form, on the one hand, does not have any intrinsic, inherent existence of its own, independent existence. And emptiness also does not exist inherently. And therefore, if there were to be a form and so forth, which inherently exist, then you would have to have some kind of absolute existence of the form. And that means that it does not actually depend on any other thing, any other factor. And therefore, in one of the Panchaparamita Sutras, it is mentioned that form is empty by itself, in itself.
25,000.
25,000 verses of Panchaparamita Sutra mentions that. And so it goes through all these different objects that is taken as the basis for establishing an emptiness. And it says that the form and so forth do not have any, are empty by itself, in itself. And therefore, what this shows is that you are not trying to understand emptiness apart from something onto which you establish emptiness. And emptiness itself, just as the things onto which you establish emptiness do not have any intrinsic existence, likewise, emptiness itself is empty by itself, in itself. And therefore, the 25,000 Perfection of Wisdom Sutra also mentions that emptiness actually does not make a form, the form empty as such, but the form is in itself empty, inherently empty.
Koya. Tadwa sukti tamad suk ta tungni sugi tengleya tungni shigot suk ta de chod dushil so samalo ya tungni shigot man trejash. There's the masave in dambashi. 다 어디 참으로 다 수강을 뚱니시고 수원 내시신들 참으로
And so, with this, what is established is the fourfold emptiness, and with regard to form. And then this understanding or this logic extends to the rest of the aggregates, such as feeling, discrimination, and so forth, as well as the other subjects that are mentioned here, such as the Four Noble Truths and so forth, that you come across.
아무도 찍기 싫은 인구 롤 두고 하래. 아무도 찍기 싫은 인구 누구 매버 롤이야. 아니 롤 드로겐디기 싫은 인구 배 땜버다. 또 percep지 이마로 저르잖아. 지구도 또야 매워버다. 아니 그 싫은 인구 롤 때문에 뒤년시되는 휴대 다 저런 게 맹매 나면 남이 지면서 로고 말에 고메스 럽션을 내라 쉬르세요.
So I wish to tell you a story while you are still fresh to perhaps laugh. And once there were two persons from Amdo region of Tibet, and one of them actually knew the Heart Sutra by heart, and then the other didn't know Heart Sutra by heart. And therefore, the first person actually recited Heart Sutra in front of the second person very loudly. And the second person was just listened to what he was reciting. And at the end of his recitation, the second person said, "You didn't have to actually say, no nose, there's no nose, no tongue, and so forth. You could have said, there's no head."
Yeah. That should you do better. So then, the ten maybe you know, should the two the number of Sanya Tamjang, should you produce symbol the ten, Lano Yano was sung, yes. She's a Sanya Yugo, two Sanya Yugo, 20, should you produce symbol the ten, any?
And so, since things do not have any objective existence, that things are dependently originated, then therefore the Heart Sutra also goes on to say that also all the Buddhas who perfectly reside in the three times, relying on the perfection of wisdom, become manifest and complete Buddha in the state of unsurpassed, perfect and complete enlightenment. So by relying on this perfection of wisdom. And so if that means that the Buddhas who have actually gone in the past and who still are living and who still are there in the universe, and those who will become Buddha in the future, all of these will become about as become Buddhas by relying on the perfection of wisdom.
So now the practice of this sort of wisdom. Firstly, so the awareness or knowledge through hearing or reading. Then second level of knowledge through contemplation. You yourself analyze. Then third level of awareness or understanding. Then familiarize, then eventually you actually get some kind of feeling about emptiness. When, for example, when you look at me, you appear the person, but some kind of understanding, this person not exist as appears. Then whole day, even dream time, of course, we appears because of we face always something, because of the inner experience or appearances, all appears as independent independent existence. But then, through understanding, through familiarize, then that kind of strong impression, then become more soft. So, 3 levels. And then the 3rd level of the deeper understanding about emptiness, that wisdom, then need help from single-pointed mind that we call shamatha or samadhi. Practice of shamatha, they completely rely on mindfulness. So mindfulness, you see, start practice of mindfulness is shila, conduct,
practice of morality.
Practice of morality, including dream. He always reminds, I should not indulge in this, always. So the strength of mindfulness increasing out of sort of practice of shila. The strength of mindfulness grow. Then with help of mindfulness, single-pointed mind come. With single-pointed mind experience achieve, then your wisdom or awareness or also emptiness then become very, very powerful, like that. So that's the Pali tradition, also these 3, the 3 practice. The Sanskrit tradition also is exactly the same way. So that's explanation about Heart Sutra. Essence, these are important part of essence, so I explain. Not necessarily go word by word. Then, as a result of
As a result of the practice of the 3 principles, morality, concentration, and the wisdom,
then wisdom, experience of wisdom increase
to a level.
Different level. So now gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisattva. The songshik, parado yangda was songshik, changju to shitsuk.
And so, therefore, the mantra of Heart Sutra, gate, paragate, parasam, means that the first gate refers to go. It's in imperative case, to put it in imperative case, go perfectly, go beyond, go perfectly beyond. Paragati means go beyond, and parasangati means go perfectly beyond, and then bodhi, enlightenment.
So now, arahat, with the experience of renunciation, the single point of desire to achieve moksha, and then the gati, combination of the wisdom which understands shunyata, through that way, gati, paragati, parasamgati, buddhi is arahat, Rajamukama.
So, within the context of the Shravaka path, then you find when you reach the state of bodhi, that is the attainment of arhatship.
Now, Bodhisattva, not only desire or effort to achieve because of the moksha, but not only oneself, but all sentient beings like ourselves want happiness. So, it is really worthwhile to bring all the final sort of stage. So, in order to do that, you yourself need some kind of ability. This moment, we can't help. So, therefore, in order to help infinite sentient being, so you need ability. Mainly need ability to know the different people's sort of mind, mental disposition, and also the bhakcha,
And also the latent potencies that are left in their mind.
So therefore, now for that reason, in order to serve other people, serve other sentient beings, is firstly, you want to become Buddha. So now that motivation, that sort of attitude we call Bodhicitta, infinite altruism. Now this text.
Do you have this text? Okay. We are now going to the second text, the 8 verses of mind training.
This is the last part discuss about emptiness. Besides that, all these practices are common. The theistic religious practitioners also these are common. 다른 선생 탐지를 이신을 원래로 주저주에 somewhere 다도 제번 좀 쇼. 제 수다 수리네 답벳 배 가서 배 처부질 때네 아니 지우지고 그래서.
And so the first verse says, with a determination to achieve highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings which surpass even the wish-fulfilling gem, may I hold them dear at all times. So what this shows is that you would actually cherish anybody by finding them to be precious to you.
전에 강도 수단 들어 다니 걸리면 현서 소도 좀 쇼로가 니버디기 다 제별로 뛴주잖아요. 셴 매발 때문에 셴 촉도 때 any 지우지고 그래서.
So when you develop this sense of cherishing others or feeling others to be dear to you, then you should not have this attitude of looking down upon others. But here it says, whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all, and from the very depths of my heart respectfully hold others as superior.
되네. 니리 저기 냠린 제윤도 그 차당 글로 되게다 고급 그 가서 그게 고급이야 고 가다 발제로 제윤도 자네. 아니 견도 아니 차당 녀무 찌다 학벌 란신진 다 로리아 아니 녀부된 거 그래서 지 란신진이야 녀무 쟁거 란신지다 녀무 제모 인베 란신지 베지 니용 초그래 자들이 인도 다 안당 가도 내가 뭐 발라 배제 랑로 착배 딱샤되다 진진이부터 배지 념도 다샤디 된진 하래 자상가 된진다 제번즈면 랑 진진이부터 배지 념도 용되도 와 자들이 인도 전에 저런 군도랑교로 도진 녀모 깨마다 다시 머루 제변은 전도 동는다고 쇼서 녀모리야 오지인도 삼치겨 말이지 그 즉 녀모 슉 잡고 깨사는 녀모 된세다 가고 그랬어 녀모 깨와로 뭔도 차이도 자네 그뒤 지 교야도 스페 사요 교인 누버로 슉셔로 셔로 침배 그도네 다 교인 녀모 깨야기 교인 누버디 마페야리야 담배서 그래서 전에 녀무지하기 배나 시다지하기 지 주민식 남도 다가는 시기 이미도 데즈르다 용매 그돌이야 녀부때네 아니 두디 바 숙송도 답시 전에 니고네 아니 무슨 녀무 숙송도 답시 저래서 시고다.
And then with regard to the third stanza, it's actually in your daily practice, it is saying that you should try to overcome attachment and anger and so forth. And so when you try to do these, of course, when you actually face the obstacles hindering your practice of overcoming these, such as in your daily practice of the spirituality, anger and hatred and so forth, in general, they obstruct us. And then particularly what this is saying, this verse is saying, is to combat this extreme self-centered attitude. And so, of course, with regard to cherishing, self-cherishing attitude, there can be a deluded one and another one which is not deluded type. And therefore, what this one is mainly getting at is the deluded sort of self-cherishing. The extreme self-cherishing attitude is something that you need to combat. And therefore, you should not give it a chance to actually this kind of self-cherishing attitude and also the grasping at true existence of force to gain upper hand. Because right from the beginning, if you don't try to counter them, when you are at a stage where these the attachment, anger, and particularly the self-cherishing attitude has not become very intense experience in you, then it's very difficult to, once they become really intense in you, then it's very almost impossible to overcome them. And therefore you should actually work at the very root of them so that you don't give any chance for the self-cherishing attitude to grow and become intense, and therefore, and also to work against anger by working at the root, which is to say that you don't which is to say that you don't give in to this improper kind of exaggerated way of looking at things, which actually brings about anger, and then also this sense of becoming like agitated and unhappiness, because these, when you leave them long, then let them stay within you long, then they give rise to anger easily. And then once you become angry, your anger is very intense there, then at that point it's very difficult for you to actually work against it. And therefore you have to work right at the very causal level, not giving in to unhappiness, not giving let unhappiness and this agitated state of mind rise in you.
One time in Jerusalem, there was some meeting. One Jewish who's sort of the job teacher. So he told at that meeting, in his class, some Palestine student, some Jews, or Israelis also there. So he advised student, when you come across some sort of, come across someone who you dislike, maga, and get some kind of agitation or angry. And that teacher is told, when about some kind of irritation about to come, during that moment you must imagine that person because the image of God. So all is created by God, so image of God. Then after some time, some of the Palestinians among his students. Later, he told him, "Oh, after we heard, your advice, and we come across checkpost where Israeli soldier, a little bit so tight control.